Another one bites the dust. We got Carvana and now Vroom that have reported hundreds of millions of dollars in quarter losses for the fourth quarter. Vroom reportedly lost 141 million. And we've all seen the slaughter of what happened to Carvana. Now, if you are, have a good memory like I do, you remember back in the beginning when COVID was first happening, and even a little bit before that, when the whole Carvana craze came along, and I watched experienced automotive dealerships change their complete structure to try to compete with the Carvana way. And some people believe that no longer will customers be coming into dealerships and everybody would just buy it online. But then with the avalanche of problems that hit, the unforeseen issues that your typical brick and mortar dealership already knew, anticipates, and is prepared for. These online e-commerce automotive retailers weren't prepared for it. Raising the capital was also a struggle. Dealing with the customer service on the back end, because it all seemed great when it's promoted on the front. Great price, beautiful pictures. But what about when there's an issue? What about this person who spent $23,000 on this particular vehicle that only had 27,000 miles, but it has a dent, it has a ding, or something's wrong with it? Now they have to go and replace that same vehicle with something that is equal to or of greater value when they already had found a needle in the haystack. It just didn't work. So let's check out what Automotive News is reporting to us about what's happening with these companies. And once we get done looking at this, I'll come back to you and I'll give you my input on the opportunity that I see happening for dealerships nationwide. Let's check this out. So used vehicle retailer Vroom to cease the e-commerce operations. Company said it was unable to raise capital needed to continue the used vehicle sales operations. Online used vehicle retailer Vroom Inc. said Monday it plans to wind down its e-commerce operations, citing a need to preserve liquidity. The company will suspend used vehicle transactions through Vroom.com, according to news release. Vroom also intends to sell its current used vehicle inventory through wholesale channels. Now, it says here in this article, if you see right here, Vroom shares plunged 51% down to 25 cents. Just hours after the news broke. Okay. Now let's really talk about, we're talking about Vroom here, but the Carvana impact. Let's talk about how it affected dealerships in bigger ways than just the inventory. You probably know of some or may have done it yourself, but I know I saw thousands of stores that were going out spending tremendous amounts of money on vehicles and relying on the market adjustable value to be able to keep helping them. And some people were literally, if it was a $40,000 vehicle due to the market adjustable value, was doubling it up and was selling a $40,000 vehicle for 80 grand. And for a small window, people were just taking what they could get because production was down as far as on the new car side. The pre-owned inventory became like gold, and everybody was trying to scratch and claw and do what they had to do to get it, because it seemed like the appearance or the perception was that Carvana just had the industry on lock and was going to put all of these franchise dealers and dealer groups out of business. But like I stated earlier in the video, we all know how it's played out. Carvana reported bankrupt, Vroom going out of business. And the reason being is this: buying a vehicle is the second largest purchase next to buying a home that most people ever made. And for a vast majority of that demographic, buying that vehicle is like buying a home for them, because they may not ever buy a home, right? So when people got that taste in their mouth, we've seen it with online shopping. Yes, it has expanded, it has exploded, but there's only one industry giant, and that's Amazon. Why? Not just so much of them getting the orders right, because there's other people that came into the online retail space that was able to get an order right. The real concern, or the way a company really shows its weight, is when there's a problem, when things aren't right. And when things aren't right, Amazon does an excellent job on making sure that they fix it, turning an inquisitive customer into a raving fan. The automotive industry is the same way. It's not so much if there's an issue, it's when there's an issue. Who do you call? Who do you contact? Who do you blame? Who do you yell at? Where do you take it back to? And these are things that even as society evolves, and we got AI and everything is becoming more technical, when people are making big ticket item purchases, they still want to put their eyes on it and be able to touch it, feel it, just for that sense of of comfort, that sense of security, like, okay, there it is. I know it's right. That's what I want. Or, pre-ordering it from a manufacturer. That's another great benefit because the customer is actually involved. They're picking and customizing it to the way they are, the way that they want it. And when you get into that pre-owned, people are coming in to deal with what's available and trying to find the least expensive best option. But when the least expensive best option started rivaling the prices of new vehicles, except that new one came with the 3-year basic limited warranty or the 5-year powertrain or the 5-year drivetrain, whatever it is, where the pre-owned might have came with a 6 months or a 12 months, depending on what type of CPO or certified pre-owned program this vehicle was a part of. But the bottom line is this: that time frame we had after COVID, where customers were coming in and were willing to buy whatever it is that was being put out. If you haven't noticed, pay attention. Those days are long gone. I mean, let's think about it now with the Cars Rule. Matter of fact, I'm going to pull that up here because with the Cars Rule, let me go and find it. Let's see here, because the FTC Cars Rule is changing the game. And the reason why this rule has been implemented is because you had a lot of dealerships out there doing bait and switches and throwing all types of fees in on customers that they were unable to justify. A customer doesn't mind spending money on something if it's a part of the deal, but just to find out that things were getting thrown in just because they could, wasn't really working well as far as on the consumer's behalf. So due to a lot of complaints and a lot of work, they went in and got with the FTC and they come out with the Cars Rule. And now what this Cars Rule means is that any salespeople, as they are engaging, sharing information with customers, have to be extremely careful on what they say something costs, and then try to jack the price up on them by not making them aware of things that are addendums that are on the vehicle that are an additional price on it, but rather people are making the customer believe it's just a part of it and it just has to be there and they have no option. Those days are long gone. And there are stores that are being fined $31,000 per infraction. So just something simple as a salesperson mistakenly telling a customer that a vehicle comes with a particular product or service that it doesn't. It's like making them feel like they have Apple Play and it doesn't. Really, it's only a 3-month free subscription, but it's something that they have to pay for after all. But the customer believes that this is a part of the purchase and this is a membership that they have. Something as small and seemingly minute as that could cost a store $31,000. And I'm willing to bet money they didn't make $31,000 on that deal. They're having to kick it out. So making sure that your service advisors, your salespeople, anyone that's on the front end, your BDC departments, that when they're making these phone calls or they're greeting these customers, that they are aware of the Cars Rule and how violating that can have a tremendously negative impact on their employment at the dealership and on the dealership as a whole. So the industry is going through some transitions, but the one transition that is not going through is people. We're in the people business. We have always been in the people business. And I tell folks all the time, if you're, I've never sold a car to a person, but I helped thousands of people buy during my selling time. People hate to be sold, but they love to buy, right? Think about that. People hate to be sold, but they love to buy. So when folks get into the sales arena, they believe they have to give off this energy of a salesperson. No, just be a person. Be somebody that's insightful, somebody that is knowledgeable, somebody that is energetic, and somebody that is a problem solver, a solution provider. If you come from those areas, I want to be a solution provider. I'm here to be a problem solver. I want to help this family or these individuals get, gain, have, own, or possess this particular vehicle to help them achieve, gain, whatever it is that they hope to achieve or gain. And that's really what this is all about. And the better that's done, the income is tied into it. And that's the beautiful thing about this business. It's kind of like going to a restaurant. If that waiter or waitress doesn't make you feel like it was their pleasure to wait on you, guess how we get them back? When it's tip time. It's the same exact thing in the automotive industry. If that customer doesn't feel like everything that we're doing is to help them, is to benefit them, is for their benefit, guess how they get us back? When we ask for the order and we want to start bucking over nickels and dimes and pennies. A lot of times it's not the asking price that they're upset about or that they're tripping about. is that they don't feel like it's worth that from that person that asked it. They don't believe that they received a $35,000 presentation on a $30,000 vehicle. They believe they received a $25,000 presentation on a $30,000 vehicle. That's why they only want it for $25,000. The other person did a $35,000 or $40,000 presentation on a $30,000 vehicle, and guess what? The person wants to sign at first pencil. So it all boils down to the basics, making sure that the salespeople, if they don't know what to say, they're only saying, you know what, that's a great question. I want to make sure I get you the right information. So I'm going to write that down, that they're doing that rather than saying, well, it's this, or I think it's this. Don't guess. No, making sure that they're taking their time. And do y'all remember that time in the business where, and some managers still do this, I don't know why, where when they have the worksheet and they're going over the numbers with the customer, they instruct them to just take the pen and just breeze by all of those numbers over there, those thousands of dollars over there on the left side of that page. If you're looking at it from the salesperson seat, and if you're on the customer seat, all those numbers on the right side of the page, just breeze over that as if they won't notice. And obviously these people know nothing about marketing, because if you don't want to attract somebody's attention to something, do whatever you can to try to block it, cover it, shield it, or distract them. It almost like subconsciously makes us want to know even more. So when we breeze over that and act like, oh, there's nothing to see here, and there's thousands of dollars there, that makes that customer want to know more. And now when they get to asking, hey, what is this doc fee for? You know, what is this particular fee for? What is this for? What is this paint protection? What is this, that, and the other? And the sales rep does not have a intelligent way to articulate that to the guest. They won't see any value. They'll think you're shamming them, and it's over. That's why when the customer goes in with the business manager, it's almost like they're starting over if they're dealing with somebody that doesn't know what they're doing, because the sales associate is supposed to set the stage before the customer goes in with the business manager. The reason why customers think whenever they agree to make a purchase, they feel like, oh, now the dealership is going to get me. They're going to try to sell me all types of stuff that I don't need, when in reality, every single product that is offered to a customer that buys is of tremendous value to them if explained the right way, if explained at all. But most times the sales rep is so happy that the customer agreed, they don't say anything. So now when they go in with the business manager and they're offering gap, they're offering extensions on coverages, the customer says, oh, see, they're trying to get me. Here they go trying to offer me this stuff. No, ma'am or sir or person, all they're doing is offering you extensions or additional coverages that your sales professional should have educated you on, that comes with this vehicle already, and how having these and maybe even extending these or maybe even adding this additional protection could not only maintain but increase the value of your vehicle when you're ready to sell it, trade against it, or if you decide to just keep it. So the business has got to continue to move forward as it is, as far as economically. And I was pulling up this Cars Rule. Let me go to it. People are already trying to fight it. As far as the Cars Rule, but making sure that in this business we make it hard. Technology keeps moving leaps and bounds, but when it comes to people, we may vary externally, but on the inside, we are all more similar than we are different. We're more common than we are different. And what aggravates and annoys you, 9 times out of 10, may aggravate, annoy, and turn off the other person. But how we want to be treated as customers, a lot of times we forget about that when we're on the other side of that table. Where if we keep that in the forefront of our mind, that listen, my ability to provide for myself and my family is directly tied in my ability to be able to identify and help solve a problem in their transportation situation. That's literally what we do. It's not about knowing everything about the cars. It's not about acting like you're some psychic and you know exactly what's going on with them. It's not about hearing some details that sound similar to somebody else and lumping everybody in one big bag. No, it's about taking this unique individual with this unique set of situations and conditions that may sound similar to others, but it is unique, and making sure that we take the time to do our best to understand why, out of all the places in the world they could have been, they decided to show up to your store. Out of all the things in the world that they could be doing, they're choosing to sit down and be educated as far as on information about this particular vehicle. Out of all the other things that they could be taking their money and investing in it, they're considering adding or replacing the vehicle in their family. And it's on us to find out what that is. What is the why? And when we focus on identifying the why, issues like the Cars Rule won't impact us. Because by asking the right questions and finding out what's going on, when we present a solution, it is solely based on information provided rather than us just trying to throw something out and trying to sell somebody. As far as on us being able to maintain that competitive edge, as we see the internet is expanding and AI is expanding, make sure that you are technologically inclined, but also that you understand that psychologically, sales is psychological, and people are very predictable. And so you want to learn what triggers us, what motivates us to take action, what makes us move. And you can have a general understanding about that, but then you have to identify it on a specific basis with the customers you're communicating with. And being with them 3 hours, you're not going to get a full picture of what type of dad they are or what type of husband they are. But what you can get a good understanding is based on the questions you ask. What brought them into that dealership? What are they hoping to gain? How soon are they hoping to gain it? And what are they willing to do or give in order to accomplish and achieve that? All that other stuff are things that if you establish the right rapport will just come through. But we have got to make sure that we are protecting our industry by no bait and switches, removing any unnecessary junk fees, or if you do have them there, making sure that your team is equipped to be able to explain it and articulate it intelligently. And these are things that require more than just 20 minutes during the morning meeting. Say, hey, y'all, make sure you're explaining this better. Hey, y'all, make sure you're not bait switching. That's why it keeps happening over and over again. I see stores sometimes that'll spend more money in the lunches that they bring in for the team than they do on the information to fill their mental Rolodexes up with the tools to equip them to be efficient, effective, and productive. So looking at Vroom and Carvana, and there's other ones that's falling by the wayside, and seeing how this Cars Rule is effective now. It's in play. If you're a store that focuses on training your people, following a process, being straight up and honest with your customer, you should lick your chops and be happy, because it is definitely going to eliminate a lot of the competition who did use a lot of those bait and switch tactics, who did use false advertising, who did use a lot of those shady things to get people in and stick it to them. Well, now there's more than just a lost customer. Now you got all types of financial penalties that'll come down on them and all types of sanctions from the commissions and stuff like that will impact the store. And they could be forced to sell it if they don't change their ways. So if you're doing it right, lick your chops. And if you know that any given day that if somebody ran up on your lot and spoke to some of your salespeople, there's a strong chance they might be told the wrong information. There's a strong chance a promise could be made. There's no way they can get done. There could be fees that are thrown in there that have no real purpose except for pure profit for the store. Now is the time to be proactive rather than reactive. Because like I shared in another video, there's a dealership that got hit for $1.2 million in fees. They had like 28 infractions. We're given only 90 days to come up with it. And if they weren't able, they lost that store. And I don't want to see that happen. My responsibility, my objective is to continue to elevate this industry and to make it where the respect is there amongst consumers, but want people to be able to go out and enjoy their car buying experience and not look at it like they're going to a dentist's office. Okay. And this Cars Rule is going to be a challenge at first, because some stores are going to have to completely change their entire business model. The fact that they even are still in business getting deals with the way they do it, says a lot about the opportunity in the industry. But now with these fines, with these regulations, with these penalties, with these consumer protections, now is the time to make sure that you are fine-tuning your machine and that your people are ready to go. But other than that, I just wanted to jump in. When I saw that information about $141 million loss by Vroom, who was supposed to be the hot craze, and then Carvana, like I say, I literally have seen dealerships that have gone out of business because they followed that Carvana model. I've watched managing partners and general managers lose their jobs by the boatloads because they had people going out maxing out on the company's budget, buying vehicles that they were buried in. It took huge losses. I saw used car managers just being thrown out. I saw people that go to the auctions for dealerships losing jobs left and right, all because, like our industry does, we were reactive. We saw the Carvana shiny carrot, and everybody, instead of really looking at market trends and paying attention, ran after it. But some did maintain their business model. Some didn't follow the crowd. And guess what? Those are the ones who have been able to successfully maintain while others were taking losses and taking hits and having horrific 2023 quarters in 2023. Others just maintained and looked around and said, we dodged the bullet on that one. So don't be the next dealership that is wishing you paid more attention to this Cars Rule and making sure that your team is full aware. And if you are looking for training, as far as for your salespeople, to be able to not just understand the Cars Rule, but how they can implement it into the sales process, your current process doesn't require anything new, but help minimize making any of those mistakes, help them structure the deals and the way the relationships with their customers in a manner that it doesn't require any of the stretching of the truth. It doesn't require any of these bait and switches. Everything is done above board, but that requires training. That requires effort. That requires commitment on your part, and I'm definitely willing to give it on mine. So if you are looking for training to help fine-tune your team to make sure you're not the next door getting hit with $31,000 penalties, by all means, shoot me a message. Myself and my team at Sales Professionals of America Recruiting will explore what's going on at your store and let you know how we may be able to help. And if nothing else, even if we come to some type of agreement that it may not be the best for us to work together, you can at least walk away with some information and tools that you can use and have your management team implement. Because when we explore, I do a deep dive in what's going on with your team, exactly what goals you're planning to hit. We take a look at the process, and then based on that, we fine tune it and then implement training. And also to add in a way to monitor it, because you can't track what you can't measure. And what's the point of implementing something new if there's no way to be able to track it and follow up and make sure that it's being utilized the most effective way? So if you're looking for resources like that, by all means, and you're still watching the video this long, obviously there's some interest there. Shoot me a message. And other than that, hit the like button, hit the share button. And if you aren't subscribed to my page, please subscribe and let's connect. Other than that, I'm Brian Maxwell, wishing you the best. I'm out here in Brunswick, Georgia, training week. And instead of going to get something to eat while I gave the group a break, I wanted to sit down and share some information with you. So other than that, I look forward to seeing you at the dealership. Over and out.
Make sure that you check out the Selling for Success sales training portal. It has sales training courses, audios, videos, manuals, everything you need to catapult your sales results to a whole new level. So remember, check out sellingforsuccess.org, the sales training portal. I'm Brian Maxwell saying again, thank you, and I look forward to seeing you at the top.